Good. Coming up open date. Good week. Northwestern, you guys know the record. I think they're, I don't know after last week. I know before last week they were the only team to have won 3 games over BCS opponents. Sitting at 4-0, so it'll be a good challenge going up there. We have talked, for a long time with our team about improving and playing better in Big Ten games. So this is our first challenge, and it's a road challenge. We have been on the road once, but it's going to be a good opportunity to go up there and see if we can make improvement in all 3 phases. You look at these guys real quick. They're making a really good commitment, it looks like, in running the ball. With Vendrick Mark, their running back, playing exceptionally well, and they're doing a little bit of 2-back even in their shotgun game, but some downhill running and whatnot. They'll use him in 1-back and get him in space. He's awfully good. He's one of the premier returners, not only in the Big Ten but country. So he's an impact player and makes plays. They're playing 2 quarterbacks. We know Kane Coulter that played last year, a combination quarterback receiver that plays quarterback and is excellent as a quarterback. Not only can he throw, but with his running ability and what they do with the option, because they actually play almost 3 offenses. They got a 1-back running game with what they do and with their running back and what Vendrick Mark can do for them. But then when Kane gets out there, they're getting almost some split back, old school veer, and run some true option and make you play option responsibilities. And then with Kane and with their other quarterback, they'll get into some traditional passing. So they put a lot of stress on you defensively. As an offensive coach, I enjoy watching their offense because I think they do well. And they're really good in the offensive line. Defensively, they've made some nice strides from a year ago. I think they're one of the better teams in our league in run defense. And Coach Hankiewicz has coached forever, and Coach Fitzgerald being an old linebacker, they kind of position backers and safeties, and they're going to stop the run and get you one-dimensional. They've played really well, the last few weeks in particular, not only against South Dakota, but previously against Vanderbilt and previously against Boston College, of really shutting the run down and getting it one-dimensional. And then they kick it well. The return game's good, but at the end of Boston College, it's 15-13. They pooch it down to the 2. Make BC got to go 98 yards, and they don't. So, they're playing well in all 3 phases. They do a lot of things that I like in building a program. Pat was there with Coach Barnett, and they kind of flipped it. And I think Coach Barnett coached there for 7 seasons. They had 2 really good, 2 winning seasons where they won the championship and co-championship. But when Coach Walker came in, I was a part of that. Pat came in at the tail end of that, and I think he's got a little bit of Coach Barnett's thoughts, but some Coach Walker thoughts and how to run the program, play good run defense, and stop the run, kick it well. They've won a boatload of close games for a long, long time. They got a nice thing going on up there, so it's a good challenge. Same time, we're talking our team. We're a young team that's getting better. Let's get back to us now. Practices are positive and fun and getting better. We didn't get a result a couple weeks ago, but our team responds, again, every day is a better day practicing. Every day we're getting stronger, gaining weight. We're practicing faster. We're getting more physical. We're gaining as a team. Recruiting's going better. Every day is getting better for us in our program. So great challenge to go to Evanston. Excited to be on the Big Ten as the kickoff game. Hopefully, because it's now we get from 12 games to 6, we'll get better TV angles for all of those review plays. And we'll get a lot of great things going on and good referee crews and good opponent. And we're challenging our team to play Big Ten football. You came to Indiana to play in the Big Ten. The schedule's not going to change. We're going to play our division. We're going to play Michigan State. We'll rotate a couple out of that Legends division. And we're trying to teach our guys to be competitive and play winning football. Great challenge against Northwestern, a team this week that I ranked in my 25. Because if you're 4-0 coming to that place, I got a lot of respect for that place too now. I coach there. I sit here today because of what those kids did for us in 2000. And so, again, respect the school, respect the place. At the same time, got a lot of respect for what we're doing, building our thing and taking our thing up there and having a great game at Evanston. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think our kids are looking forward to a great challenge. What you got?
Does the preparation that you guys have been working on for Navy, does that translate at all to help you with some of their offense?
A little different, but the one comment I did share with our defense is unless you're truly an option team, or like Northwestern, it runs a lot of option in your package, or a true option team, we have probably spent as much time as most people working on it. Now, I've used that as a positive for the offense and how to play with lower pad level and work on cut blocking, so I don't think it's been a detriment from the offense trying to take that and to get our linemen to come off the ball. As much as we pass, you can get high and play with high pad level, and you still got to have leverage on even every block, leverage even in pass blocking, but when you pass so much, you start playing high. So I've tried to take that even as an offensive opportunity to improve us But defensively, it is different. It's more of a two-back deal than a three-back. But there are some premises on closing on the dive and who's got the quarterback and who's got the pitch. And again, it's still a difficult thing to do, and they run it awfully well. But I share that with our defense. We've been working on it. We work on it every day this week. We're working on it more this week because we're going to see it. Typically, we just splash it real quick. We use it in non-game weeks to emphasize. But this week, we're doing it a little bit every day because we're going to see it out of these guys because they do it really good.
Prep are they just from last year? I guess they did run quarterback a little bit last year, but how different of a prep are they defensively?
I think other than just a commitment to be a little bit more physical and running the ball and run defense, they've made some I think, commitment and run game there. The quarterbacks can throw the ball well, but I think with Persa last year, Dan being a little bit more experienced, they probably did that a little bit more. But when they get in rhythm and get going, they get the run game going. And it all starts with a group that no one talks a lot about, but they really play pretty good in the line of scrimmage. And last year, they completely controlled the game from their offensive point of view and kind of worked us at will. So it'll be a good challenge. But I don't know if they're radically different. The schemes are similar. They've advanced and added a wrinkle or two, it looks, each week. But to me, it just looks like, again, they're trying to, continue to play tougher, stronger, more physical, and you can see it going each week as they play. You see their offense getting a little better. You see their defense getting better. I see that from our team as well. And I just think it's the process of the season, the way they do things. I don't think it's dramatically different.
Beginning, just what makes him as good of a tailback as he is?
He's got really good speed, and but I think for a fast guy, I think just watching him, it looks like he's learned how to maybe pace some things and let the blocking happen and then accelerate and run through, pace through the mesh, and you got a common read, and then you stick it, and you make one cut and you get behind your pads and you use your speed. So, but a lot of that too is, again, credit to line play. Their lines, they're big, strong guys. They do a great job of developmental. We're talking with our guys about, gaining weight weekly and getting stronger weekly, even during the season. I know their process because I was a part of that in player development. And so I think a part of he's a smaller guy. It's hard to see him behind those big guys, but he's got great speed. But I think as he's matured, he's a little bit better between the tackles and getting north and south. And they've wrinkled a few plays to get him more downhill instead of sideways all the time.
You mentioned it a little bit, but how special will it be for you to go back into that stadium as a head coach and go back to your own stomping grounds?
I don't know. I don't think of it that way. I love her kids and all that. And it's kind of nice. And I think my wife's excited to take her kids back and say again. Of course, we go to Chicago once in a while anyway. Once a year or something. So it's not like we've never been back. So to me, I had a chance. I was at Miami, Ohio in '95. So I've been in the other locker room, been on the other sideline, warmed up on the other end of the field. So, it's a nice venue. Their students will be there. It'll be a little bit better crowd than normal. We have a boatload of Indiana folk that live up in Northwest Indiana, live in Chicagoland. Hope we have a lot of those folks at the game. Need to. I know typically through the years, we always had good crowds in my time. There was 6 or 8 or 10,000 other folks from the other teams that love to have some great Hoosiers there. But again, it's a nice stadium. It's a beautiful place. Again, I go back. I know from 10, 12 years ago, things that happened here impacted my life in a very positive way, and I'm grateful and respect that. At the same time, trust me, I got an edge about this game because I want our kids to learn how to win Big Ten games, and this is a game that we need to put our best foot forward and go out and win a football game, do what it takes to win a game.
To kind of disrupting the tempo of their offense, you talked about how they sort of feed off that. I guess what do you do defensively to try and maybe get them behind schedule?
It's awfully hard the way they run the ball because if they run it and get on schedule, and then they can play two-dimensional and pass on their terms. They're a much better football team. So it's a line of scrimmage game. It's the ability to play first and second down defense, getting them into more manageable third downs. They do a great job, like most teams that are good, taking care of the ball. They do a good job in kicking game where you don't get short fields. And so, but they're like any offense. If you can block it well and you get play 1 and play 2 and play 3 and get going, and then because they are getting the run game going, they do have nice receivers, quarterbacks can throw, they mix the option. If they execute, play good defense, you can have your hands full. I think our defense is getting a lot better. We had a few issues the other day, but I think we're significantly better. Last week we played a team that came in going to run the ball pretty well, or 2 weeks ago. I think we held the tailbacks to under 120. They got us on some fly sweeps, got 40 yards out of the quarterback game. We're making some strides defensively. At the same time, too, I think our team feeds on how the offense goes. So I think a part of that is our offensive execution against their defense. And their defense the last couple, 3 games has really been very salty, and they've played very, very well. So our ability to establish some run game and get manageable third downs, and our ability to move the ball and create points and create field position will help our defense. So again, it's more of a team deal. I think a lot of their success comes the way they put it all together, playing as a team. And I think as we're growing, that's what we're trying to do. It's what we're talking about. I think our offense and our defense can feed off each other with kicking, and that'll be the key. We will win this game through all 3 areas because Northwestern will play very good typically in all 3 areas. That's why they're 4-0. And we will have to match that if we're going to have the opportunity to get the W.
Like you, Coach Johns, and Coach Fitz all spent time there at Northwestern, obviously. What did you guys learn from your time there, and kind of, what's it been like to see people from that staff, grow and go on in their careers?
Pat was just there my last season. But then he was with Coach Walker quite a while when Kevin was there with Coach Walker, after I was there. So to me, and of course, Pat's got ties to Coach Barnett, was the key player, one of the key players. They had a couple, a heck of a quarterback, receiver, running back. They were daggum good on defense that year, those couple years. But, he's got ties, with the Coach Barnett era of flipping it. But the common bond for us, even though Pat's got some of that, but some of Coach Barnett is just a tie with Coach Walker. And I thought Coach Walker was a tremendous influence on a lot of coaches because he coached coaches. And something that, quite honestly, this year I'm trying to spend a little bit more time working with quarterbacks but coaching coaches on how we're preparing practice and what are we scripting, what are we doing, what are we seeing, because Coach Walker coached the coaches, not on the field but off the field, and was a tremendous influence in developing, I know, me as a coach and me as a guy. I spent more time with that guy than anyone except my father. And maybe if you throw those recruiting trips in the MAC, riding in a Corsica around Ohio, probably spend more time with him than my dad. So, and that's the thing with Coach Pat. I think Coach Fitz has carried a lot of, now he's got his flavor, his personality, his strengths, married with his background with Coach Barnett, but there's the feel of Coach Walker. And I think the key is that Randy had a lot. I mean, I'm watching, we had Sean Payton on that staff at Miami. Hep was on that staff. Aaron Cromer, that's the interim head coach out there now. James Patton, line coach at Oklahoma. There was a number of guys that did well, and I think it's more of a tie to Randy. No disrespect to the Northwestern deal, but those guys have done well. And like I told our staff, one of the reasons to be a part of building this deal, if you can have success here, your career will take off, and that's exactly what's happened at Northwestern. Because when you're winning there, there's a lot of things you have to, but at the same time, there's not as many things to overcome as much as there's a lot of great things to sell. And that's what they've got going on there, and that's what we're starting to build, and we're going to get going on here.
Where are your JUCO kids right now in terms of
they're in class?
Where you want them to be progress-wise 3 games into the season?
You'd hope it, and that's the old age word, but after the open date and have played a little bit, I do think it takes some time. They are older. We did get spring ball, but the speed of the game, the commitment to the game, the mental part of the game, like defensively, defenses have evolved because of the multiple things of offense that you don't call it defense anymore. You call it defense that when they line up and this formation gets adjusted to this formation gets adjusted to this formation, automatic this. So mentally there's enough on every player's plate that all freshmen, first-year guys take some time. Last year, though, now the running backs a little bit easier, Steven came into his own. We still need some of our I think we're getting decent play from the backer. It still can be better, and it should and it will be. It better be. I think Cam will continue, and he's practicing every day, and Don's got the official report. He was there today, so he can verify. He's doing the reps with the other guys. So, he will keep coming. The real key is can we getting some things out of Ryan Thompson, Timmy Bennett, Antonio Marshall, Treg Waters, special teaming on the field. So, every player, though, Drew Harden's a year older, and that being said, even though there's a junior college safety, he's improved his play. Mark Murphy, a year older, he's improved his play. Brian Williams, Kenny Mullen, Lawrence Barnett, there's just more competition there. So, are those guys ready to walk out and start this week? It's kind of the same roles. Maybe they play a little bit more, a little bit less. I think they're gaining. But, even in a perfect world, we needed those guys to come in and play. Sometimes it still takes those guys a year, and we'll see as they go through the year. So it's still a work in progress, Terry, and I need them to do better. They are practicing and getting there. I still don't know if it is ideal as you always want, but I think they're very much in tune to our practice habits, the way we commit, they're practicing well, but it's just bridging the gap of processing and getting on the field and playing.
Recruiting philosophical standpoint moving forward, are you going to continue to recruit the junior college players, or was that just maybe a one-year deal because of need?
Really because of need, and this year there's not all this attrition that was a real issue. It's just kind of is what it is every day, and a bunch of guys are liking practice, coming to work and working hard, and it's not a big deal now. But last year with those numbers, we needed a little bit more maturity, a little bit more age. I do think we always look at JC if you have an issue, you have an injury at a point, or a guy doesn't pan out. You thought you were going to be good at a spot, now you got concern. Guy left your program, or what? There's just a void. I think you always look if there's a void, and you're always looking for JC guys you think can come in and have a reasonable impact. If not, I prefer to start in my backyard in my state, and I prefer to have kids for 4 or 5 years. And notice we are playing freshmen, but not as many. And I actually think freshmen that are as good as those that played last year, but we're redshirting them because of the depth, and the freshmen played have gotten a little bit better. So as we go through it, we won't always get into redshirting everyone. We won't always be at junior college, just go get it, but I think we continue to work the market and just meet our needs.
We have a lot of young guys that have played a lot of football already, been through a full season. Did they approach the bye week a little bit differently this year, get more out of the bye week than maybe they did last year because it was their first go-around?
I don't know if they did. I think as coaches we did, because personally our practices consistently are going really good. And that being said, I think your guys are working very hard. So a lot of guys that were getting a lot of reps, and we've kind of settled in, you kind of know certain guys playing a lot. We still practice, but maybe tapered back some of the hitting and worked some of these red-shirted guys or second-team guy that's not playing as much to try to escalate, evaluate where he's getting to, or maybe bring a second-team guy up to speed a little bit more. So I think it was more from us. I don't think our kids approached open day. I think our kids approached practice better. One, I think they genuinely ask them as we look at spring, do you like the morning routine? And to a hand, they all are all for it. I think we're resting better, eating better. I think school's going better, the whole gig. So, to me, just, the thing I know is we're going to be successful this week because every day I see us practicing. Now, we're going to get the W we want? I don't know, but successfully, we are getting a little bit better and chipping at it every day and gaining on it. So I like the guys and like the way they do it, and I don't think that's open date because we were pretty good this morning. I thought we were good going into Ball State. We didn't manage the game, didn't make a couple plays, had a couple issues, whatever. We learn and grow from that. Players, coaches, all of us. But I think our players have really, truly, with our leaders, starting with Adam or Will Maddie or Larry Black or those older guys, Bolzer, or some of those older guys in the junior crowd, Heben, those guys embrace our process of how we want to do it. And I think now there are more people that will tell you this is how we do things. This is how we want to practice. That's not how we do it. That's not how we act. It's not what our standard is. And I think we understand our standard, and I think we're working hard to improve that every day. And that's why I genuinely like the way we're going. We're going to have a great challenge this week, and trust me, all coaches will look at 1 week at a time like you guys believe that. Look at the rest of the schedule. There's a bunch of good teams in the Big Ten, and here they come. And we got to embrace that challenge and keep chipping at it and going at it too, because look at what's coming down the road. It doesn't get any easier. It is the Big Ten. And I might be wrong, but I believe we're going to be in this league. And I believe we're going to build a program that's going to start being successful in this league.
Cam being back, how healthy is he? How is he moving around? Good.
He actually could have practiced last week a little bit more. But again, like some of the guys, just didn't want to aggravate it and be, gimping around. So he's, whether it's movement throws, move the pockets, read plays, whatever. He's, he just, looks like him. Makes some good plays and bad plays in practice, and plays I like, plays I don't. And that being said, too, I do think the way Nate played in the game, and Nate got a little bit more work last week, too. I think Nate is getting better, and that makes Cam get better because competition's a good thing. Working very hard with those guys to realize, too, this is not about being selfish. This is about being a good teammate. When both you guys playing at your best every second, every day to manage, because we're not going to win without good quarterback play. And I've said that for a couple months now. And we need both those guys on their A game. And so he looks fine. He's practicing good, and so is the other guy. And it's a good deal. We'll go. Cam will go first unless there's some issues between now and walking out there at 11, whatever it is, on Saturday morning Central. Cam will go first, but Nate will also be ready to roll, and they'll both play well if we need them.
This is about, I guess,
And it won't be play one, play two, whatever. Just, we're going to play the game. Let it play.
You said you'd try to evaluate Chase for this week. Kind of, is there any more on his injury and whether or not he's going to be available?
He is very limited yet, and we're trying to get him back, and it's just he's got a nerve deal that we're quieting down. John Lanen didn't play last game, is practicing back with us, should be good to go. Everybody else is pretty healthy, and I think we'll go through the week and see if we have Chase's availability. Very fortunate for us that Griffin's came in and played well, Griffin Dahlstrom. The other guys, we got Flo Harden has worked out there as well, forced at backer spot. So right now those guys are getting the bulk, and Chase is close, but just we're trying to quieten down a nerve thing he had on, I don't know if it's right or left side, a neck injury kind of thing.
I had said this a little bit earlier, but is one of the silver linings of Cam's hip injury, issue just that Nate got a lot more reps with the ones than maybe he otherwise would have from a development standpoint?
Yeah, but then that's last for Nate, so it just is what it is, and managed it well. Again, but that is when we had the injury to Trey in the football game. And I just saw Trey, too, you talk about a neat thing. I just saw Trey walking. He's, 2 weeks and a day or 2 or 3 after surgery. He doesn't even have a cast on now or a boot on. It's like just walking. Like, geez, and he's showing, I said, where's the thing? It's like a little thing on both ends. So, he says he's supposed to be jogging on it next week as they come off. So that's kind of amazing. The tough thing, though, is that Cam needed those plays. So Cam not getting plays, that might be better for Nate, but we did play Nate in the UMass because you go through the year, you think you're going to need more than one. We need him to calm down. We need him. He actually went out in the first couple plays, didn't communicate him right in the Massachusetts game. It was good to get that out of the way because the next time he was out there, it's for real. We needed to play for real. And he played pretty well and responded well. So got confidence in both of them. I don't think it's a controversy. They're both good. They're both similar. They're both young. Right now, Cam's got a smidge more experience. We'll go with him, but the other cat got a boatload of work. And you watch us practice, and we're starting to throw the ball well. Still comes back to playing a team that's going to be stubborn, not let you run the ball. You got to have a little bit of balance. You got to keep them off your quarterback. So it's our ability to play up front. We'll have as much to do on both sides. And that front guys, those tight end fringe players, those linebacker safety fringe players, that's where this game's going to be won. Ability to stop the run, the ability to get some run going so that either team can run their offense or not run their offense.
You talked a lot, in the last year or whatever, in terms of Stephen Houston, in terms of getting consistency out of him. I guess, what's the difference between him when he's locked in and when he isn't? What does it, I guess, kind of take to get him in the right kind of mental standpoint?
It's a lot of our players. I had a comment with a young man today that he had to be coached very, 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 very hard to go, and then he killed a guy. I go, why do we have to do that? Why can't you just do that all the time? So it's just the ability for someone to light an internal personal fire and bring its human element. We're all content. We all think we're a little bit better than we are. Things are either better than they are or worse than they are. And bottom line, we're always kind of in the middle. And it's not that bad, it's not that good. And the guys that bring the fire and bring the energy stay on the high end. The guys that don't stay on the low end. Because bottom line, you're kind of in the middle. Most teams in college football, it's 3, 4, 5 that can beat them all, 3, 4, 5 that can't win. Most teams are figuring out 3 and 9 and 9 and 3. And there's not that big a difference. And that's football teams, that's life. And it's just as a coach, you got to trigger that. But in time, how can you get a young man to truly understand our standard and our way of doing things? And he buys into that so you aren't having to always one-on-one ignite 110 guys to practice hard. To ignite a scout team guy to fly down to give you a game speed rep. Because when you're coming down if you're on kickoff return or if you're on punt return and the scout team's kind of jogging, it's easy to block those guys. Then in games, here comes guys flying in a different gear and you can't get in position to make a block, and you're always saying we don't have a good return game. When the defensive line, your scout unit, and you do good on good to get that game speed. So it's really just, this is our standard, and do guys truly start embracing that standard and how to practice that way? So as coaches, but there's a diminishing return when the coach has to be the igniter to a team, and when he has to be the igniter to the player. The really good players and really good teams have that little self-starter, and they can self. And as a coach, you've got to get involved. But when I do it all the time, or as a coach does it all the time, if I got to go in that locker room, it's not good. Those players need to manage that. If I got to get the fired up speech all the time, it's really the players. They find a way to get on edge and get themselves there. And there's a lot of great coaches. If you saw some of their pregame speeches, you'd be going, because they don't. Some guys don't hardly say anything, because their team, and that's maturity and getting there. So, but that's.
Do you recruit that in terms of getting players, maybe that fierce competitiveness, or can you develop that?
It's hard. It's hard to do both. and limited on how many times you can call, contact, eval. You know, I was at a game the other night, got canceled, and I've been told that now counts as my eval. I didn't see him do anything, but you're on campus. That's my eval. So, I mean, we just have limitations. But those are like one of my comments when you're saying recruit that is you ask questions. You know, what do you like about practice? You know, I like the watermelon break, or versus like, you know, I like inside drill and playing. I mean, what do you like? So it's just getting to know kids. But I do think we have a competitive staff. I do think people gravitate to certain people, and I think our coaches will make connections with kids that are like that. But what else, guys? You good?
One more. Cody Latimer, what are your thoughts on the way he's played as sort of, I guess maybe the leader of kind of an ensemble wide receiver?
He had a sports hernia last year. He tried to play through, and we shut him down. I thought he was going to be a big-time freshman last year. I mean, I really did. I thought he'd be a guy like, wow, you know, where'd he come from? And I don't think he's playing good yet. So I think he's got a really good future. And the more he plays, he's a big, strong young man that is continuing to gain self-confidence. And because I think if he realizes what he is, he can be a really good player. He's still a long way off. He shows those flashes of being really good because his skill set is really good. He's a great kid. I think the more he plays, the better he plays. You know, he should really be good for us. We got some other guys like that too. You know, we got to keep bringing some of those other guys along as we keep doing it. Guys, good. Thanks for coming, guys. Have a good one.